stories on both sides of the conflict, how women get affected on this side as well as that side, people who are in the forces, the kind of sacrifice that they make, and the kind of sacrifice that the families make because they're exposing them to danger. The book also talks about people who have made this huge country what it is. There is a story based in Punjab where this woman walks, during partition, she walks through into this country and then tries to make this place her home. She never thought that this is what will come to her, and yet she loses all her wealth, everything. The only thing that she gains from this is that she realizes that wealth is not something that is permanent. The only thing that is going to stand with you is dua. And that is the hope that this book brings. She sees 65, she sees 71. And then, when she's just about to settle again, militancy comes to Punjab, and she's uprooted yet again. And then, she again looks within herself and is able to ensure that the unity of the country remains the same. The message that I bring from this book is that half-life would only mean that things reduce to half in a particular period of time. But they can reduce once, twice, thrice, and yet it is never extinguished. The thing that remains the same always and everlasting is going to be hope and humanity. This is the hope that we bring, and this is what we want to talk about. This is the only thing that is going to bring us and keep us together. Whatever be the conflict, on both sides, whether it is the forces or whether it is people on the other side, what is going to lose always is going to be humanity. And what is going to always remain the victor is humanity again. Thank you so much for having us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the privilege of having Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain, retired, PVSM, UYSM, AVSM, SM, VSM and BAR, as our chief guest, who has very kindly agreed to launch the book. Commissioned into the Garwar Rifles, General Hasnain went on to command the 15 Corps in Kashmir. He is credited with having conceived and operationalized the Heart's Doctrine, which focuses on people as the center of gravity in Kashmir. He brought about a balance between employment of hard power in counter-infiltration and counter-terrorist operations and military soft power. A highly decorated officer, he has rendered services in the UN missions. He's a prolific writer, speaker, and thinker. He has extensively promoted the necessity of incorporating military intellectualism and strategic culture in India. May I invite General Hasnain to kindly address the gathering. Sir.
Thank you very much. May I speak from here? Okay. Good evening and Jai Hind. I thought the audience would respond with a great Jai Hind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My pleasure and honor to be at the Jaipur Literary Festival, and an even greater honor to be with Nitu on her great day. It's not often that you see literature coming out of the military, and to top it, literature coming out of the military to be displayed at festivals of this kind is often rare. So I must compliment you, and I must compliment the organizers of Jaipur Literary Festival for having actually brought this book into being here. But having said that, let me also just state, mostly the public at large, associates the weapon, the military, the profession in which all of us deal with terrorists or with enemy, etc. You'll find everyone romanticizes this profession. They all feel it's a great thing it's a very romantic thing to be a soldier or to be a policeman, to be someone sitting on the line of control and accosting the enemy. Let me tell you, there are two sides of everything. And what Nitu brings out today is the second side of it. What you have been, and most of us have been always seeing on television, in films, etc., is the romantic side of it. But there's a traumatic side of soldiering. And as much as the soldier suffers trauma, it is the family, the soldier's family, which suffers tremendous trauma. At the same time, you must remember that conflicts are always between human beings. So there is trauma among the ranks of the terrorists, and there is trauma among those innocents who are related to the terrorists too. And this is the dilemma for all of us who are in these unfortunate situations accosting this kind of violence in subconventional operations everywhere. The greatest thing what you're seeing on the stage at the moment is that you have an active CRPF officer, a DIG of the CRPF, a lady officer who has commanded in active operations in as difficult a situations in Punjab and in Kashmir. And to inaugurate her book, her writings, is a military officer, an army officer. What you're seeing is the best of security in India. You're seeing the synchronization, the integration of the police forces and the military forces together. Something which you see on television every day being belittled. Please don't believe anything which happens on television of this kind. The forces of India are all together. And through this book, you will realize that there's a human side to this entire thing. And the more you realize about the human side of soldiering, of violence, you will find you will not want to see violence in this life. I hope this book will help everyone realize it. The last bit, the last message, remember women. Even as we speak, there are 100,000 women marching in Washington at the moment. Remember, the woman in conflict is the mother, is the sister, is the wife, is the sister-in-law, is the daughter. She is the one who can influence human beings, the male species, who are usually the ones who cause war. She can always make them see reason, see rationale. And they are the ones who can actually bring down the levels of violence in society, which is why it's so important to have women with us in the forces and women actually influencing the minds of men who are in positions of power. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. We have the privilege of having a person of the stature of Shri Sanjoy Hazarika with us. May I request him to say a few words?
Thank you. Actually, I don't know quite what I'm doing here, but I was told about an hour ago that I should be here and come onto the stage and say a few words. So I said I'll speak for 2 minutes, not less, perhaps a little more. But congratulations. I think it's very important, as you said, sir, to look at the other side, shall we say, of the fence, the reality that bites. And I think that one of the things that occurs in conflicts, in areas which have been conflicted for long, like the area we call the northeast of India, in places like Manipur, Nagaland, parts of Assam, and so on, is that women are the most vulnerable in these situations. And I'm not talking about women who wear the uniform, it's women who are ordinary people who bear the brunt of conflict. Because they have to be the caretakers, they have to also sometimes head families singly. In other cases, they have to mobilize public support against what they see as violation of rights, whether it's by the underground or by the security forces. So, and I think that one of the things that we do need to bring into bear, and I think this is very important that both of you touched upon it, is the whole nature of counseling. Because people who go into conflict situations come out very different to what they went in, and they're different people to their families, they're different to their children, to their colleagues. And I think counseling, which perhaps is taking place increasingly, is very important to prepare people for what they go into, and very important once they're about to leave an active conflict zone, so that they connect to people in a more rational and conversational way, with grace and with humility. So I'm very glad to be here. I'm glad you've written this book. I look forward to reading it. And we wish you all very well for this and more writing.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request the distinguished chief guest to kindly launch the book Half-Life. May I request the elders of the family to kindly join. We are honored to have her parents with her on this occasion. I request Dr. Kulbhushan Thatai to present a token of gratitude to General Hasnain. I also request him to present a token of gratitude to Sri Sanjoy Hazarika. Mrs. Vinod Thatai may kindly present a token of gratitude to Admiral Vijay Shekhawat. I now request Admiral Vijay Shekhawat to kindly address the gathering and say a few words. Sir.
Thank you. I don't think I was actually expected to say any kind of words. And the only reason that I feel I'm here is for Vastu purposes, that 6 chairs needed to be filled up. But nevertheless, I had a long service with the military, though the seagoing part of it, the Navy. My father was an army officer. So as a young boy, I marched with the troops, camped out with them, learned to ride horses and mules. And so I have a close sense of connection with the soldier and a deep respect. The day I retired, which was 20 years ago, I was driving in our old Maruti van with my wife, handing over to my successor. And as we crossed the Dholakwa crossing, which was much simpler those days, with no flyovers and nothing, I told her, I said, you know, I had 3 years in office and I didn't have any kind of problems. Everything went smoothly. And the second thought in my mind was that our country doesn't know what it owes to the Indian Army. And that is a fact. Behind all the activity that goes on security front, on the borders, the Indian Army is always alert and vigilant. And even before a political move takes place, the preemptive element of the Indian Army has begun to move. And this I discovered the day Indira Gandhi was assassinated. I was Director Naval Intelligence that day, happened to be in AIMS. Suddenly the gates were shut. I happened to be there because I'd gone to donate blood for a relative's operation. And I had parked my car some distance away, and suddenly there was a commotion, and the gates were shut and nobody could come in and out. And I had found that there was a nala going out of the wall. So I crawled out through that nala, went to my car, and went straight to the office of the Director General Military Intelligence. Because I could see the crowds gathering on the street. They were being gathered. They were not gathering spontaneously. And I don't want to name him, but I said, sir, this is what is happening. I think there will be a law and order problem. And he says, yes, I have already ordered a brigade to move from Meerut because there are no troops in Delhi. They are out on exercises. This is why the citizens of our country, which includes all of us, are able to sleep and rest peacefully because we can bank on our army. The second part of that structure, which General Hasnain pointed out, is the close working between the other elements of the paramilitary and the army. And I have the greatest sympathy for them because the military has evolved over centuries. There is a structure of leadership, of management, of administration which is well established and in place. But the police forces, especially the armed police forces, have evolved only recently. And that structure is not yet mature. And they have kind of disadvantage, and I include in that the civil police also. And they do an extremely hard job every day, which we do not acknowledge, which we are not, shall we say, grateful enough for. And it is high time that our governments and authorities paid much greater attention to the well-being of these elements, without which there cannot be any peace in our cities and in our lives. I was asked by the author this morning when I happened to meet her to be present here today. I agreed, and I'm very glad I did so. And I think it's a very important step forward in voicing the problems of the military and the paramilitary, especially with relation to the families. Now, for those of you who don't follow these affairs, for example, in the US military, which is the most prominent in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, in these wars, they have huge amount of what is known as post-traumatic stress disorder. When they come back from the fronts, they're all completely upset in many cases, psychologically disoriented, cannot readjust to political life. I suggested that we are a more robust society, thanks to our long inherited cultural support forces, families, joint families, etc., which unfortunately are now degenerating and deteriorating. And so therefore the state has to play a much greater part in taking care of the people who enable the security of the state and the citizen on a day-to-day basis. I think I've said already more than that I was supposed to, and I'm very glad to be a member in the launch of this book, and good luck to the author for more material to come out from her mind and experience. Thank you.
Just a small reaction to that. Let me tell you, sir, and assure you, sir, it is a huge, huge privilege to work for the security forces. To me, it is a huge privilege to work for the CRPF. I'm a very, very proud member of this force and a very proud member to just belong to all of you and to belong to this country. To me, it is a huge privilege to be able to lay down my life and a huge privilege to be the daughter of my parents who have assured me this, to be able to reach wherever I wanted to. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here.
May I now request my brother, Abid, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening. It gives me immense pleasure and it is an honor to present the vote of thanks today. I thank Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain, Shri Sanjay Hazarika, and Admiral Vijay Shekhawat for contesting for consenting to be here for the book launch of Half-Life. My gratitude to the Jaipur Lit Fest for the platform for the release, the media, and the amazing audience here. My heartfelt salute to the families of the soldiers to whom this book is dedicated. Thank you and have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will just be doing a very quick turnaround and we will be back with our session, The Art of the Screenplay. Thank you.